Hey people, Demon here, and today I am reviewing a movie that I think is from Sweden or Norway or somewhere like that, an Eastern European country, I assume. It's Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. So basically, this is a horror movie that just came out on Netflix yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I just got around to watching it today, so the review should be up today. So a day late. But basically, this is a horror movie that came out, and it's a good old slasher film. It kind of reminds me of kind of like the Friday the 13th movies, and also a little bit of the Hills Have Eyes movies. Um, but yeah, it kind of reminds me of those two. And without spoilers, here's without spoilers. Now I'll get into spoilers. So without spoilers, this movie is okay. It's not super good. It's not super horrible. It's okay.
Just remind you to subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment, and share this video, Twitter, and Instagram down below.
Well, it's okay because there's some things in there that are kind of stupid, and then there's some other things that are just like, oh, that's okay. The plot line, very predictable, just like most slasher movies. Plot line, predictable. Characters, and predictable, I guess. They killed off the best character, by the way, the gamer guy. Best character, killed him off because that's what they do. And at the end, it's a little thing where it's just like, ooh, like they're still alive, and there might be like a sequel or something. Who knows? But yeah, so all in all, it's an okay film. Okay, so now spoilers. Spoilers. It's an okay film. So spoilers. If I were to rate it, by the way, let's rate it really quick. If I were to rate it 1 to 10, 10 being absolute awesome, 1 being garbage, like a 5 to 6 about, maybe like a 5.5 or something, maybe a 5.6. It's average. It's average at worst, pretty good at best. So it's in between those two, I would say. Watchable, enjoyable, but nothing like I'm like, oh my goodness, that was the best movie I ever saw. It's average, it's enjoyable. But yeah, let's get into spoilers now. So spoilers. So basically, the movie, it starts off with these kids going to this camp because they're addicted to games, or they're addicted to online, I should say. And then they go on a hike because they're all split into groups, but none of the other kids get attacked that we know of, to our knowledge, I guess. So they go on a hike, and then they basically, these two Hills Have Eyes mutant freaks come after them and start murdering them. And then they have to figure out how to stop them and how to get home, like figure out how to get away. And there's a few main characters. There's the jock character, who is the first one to die. There's the nerdy guy character who's a little bit chubby, who's actually one of the last to die, which is pretty interesting. Which is, by the way, he's the best character. He's a gamer. So this, like, his story, like the jock character, we don't know his story exactly, but he's just a jock character that goes online a lot, and he's a little bit like he acts a little bit bigger than he is. He's one of those characters that's insecure, and he dies first off. But basically, we see the gamer character. He's a character that just plays games, and he has a YouTube channel, and I guess he streams and stuff like that, and he has like 900,000 subscribers or something like that. And then his parents are like, no, you're addicted to games. We're sending you to camp. Even though with that much subscribers, he should be making like money with that, or quite a bit of money at least, but not, if not enough money to live off of, depending on like the way he goes, I guess. So I don't know. That's a pretty stupid move on the parents' part. If they're like our son's making money by playing video games, send him to camp so he's not making money anymore. I'm just saying, kind of dumb, but whatever. They send him to camp anyways because that's what I guess his parents did. So he's there for gaming addiction, quote unquote, I guess. And then there's a ditzy blonde girl that's not really ditzy, but we don't get to know much about her because she dies pretty much right after the jock guy does, like instantly. There's another guy character who is gay, and there's a whole thing with the priest that he gets tied up from the priest, and the priest is just like, hey, you're like the devil pretty much. At first I thought the priest was a rapey guy, but then he's just like, I know you're kind, you're like the devil. And it's just like, okay, so I guess the priest is just a ignorant asshole. Um, so he gets locked up by the priest, and then the priest gets killed, and we see him like quote unquote get killed, but he didn't get killed on camera, so he's not dead, and he escapes. And he escapes, but we'll get into that a little bit. Well, he escapes, and he meets this old guy. This old guy's in the forest, and he's been there for like ever, and he's run into these two before. Although it doesn't make sense because these two have been locked in a cellar for a long time, but he's run into them and lost his legs to them. It doesn't make sense. Like, that part doesn't make sense. It's just like, these two have been locked in a cellar for their whole lives, but I ran into them once and got my legs taken off. I don't know how that makes sense, but whatever. Old guy, basically guy with a gun, shoots this kid by accident because he thinks it's one of the creatures coming after him, one of the boys. And he shoots him, and he's just like, oh, fuck. And he tries to save the other kids, but the other kids are just like, no, we're out of here. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But basically, gay guy, he talks to the blonde girl, sees her die, goes to the church, talks to the priest. The priest is a freaking psychopath. He gets killed. Then gay guy somehow escapes. We don't know how exactly. Goes to old man's house, gets murdered by accident. And then we have the camp counselor. Basically, she's just a counselor. She talks about the woods and stuff, and she keeps the kids safe, quote unquote. And then at the end, she gets her head cut off really fast. She is the second person to die, actually. The first one, the jock. Second one, her. She dies pretty much instantly. We don't get to know much about her. Third one, blonde girl. She dies pretty much instantly. Fourth one, sadly, worst death of all, is Gamer Boy. Best boy ever. He dies. Sad. He dies the fourth, but he lasts pretty long. Then the next one's the gay guy, and then we come to our main protagonist, protagonist. I guess she was antagonist is a bad guy. Protagonist, and it's a girl who is in camp. We don't exactly know why she's in camp. All we know is that her parents got into a car crash, and she was the only one that survived. Her family got into a car crash, and we assume she's the only one that survived because it seems like the car was set on fire and stuff. So she seems to be the only one that survived. She seems to have tried to kill herself at least once because we have scars on her arm. And that's about all we know about her. So she's there because I assume most likely she tried to bury herself in into technology to forget about her past, to try to escape from the cruel reality. But yeah, that's all we know about these characters. And then shenanigans ensue. Of course, our main character and the gamer guy, they're out there trying to escape these people, and then they're like, so this is a stupid part that comes up, okay? So basically, gamer guy and main character girl, they go to this old man's house, and he's just like, hey, you can stay here. I have a gun. I'll protect you. Blah, blah, blah. Stay here for a bit until like it's okay to leave, I guess. Or you can walk to the nearest village or town or whatever, which is about 2 days that way. Right? And they're like, you know what? We're not going to stay here. We're going to go back to the house because they have a cell phone at the house where the guys were murdered. And we're going to go back there and try to get the cell phone. When they get back there, obviously bad guys there. There's 2 bad guys, by the way. And the bad guy ends up killing the gamer, and the girl ends up escaping, and she almost becomes basically, I would assume they were going to rape her, so she almost becomes like a fuck doll, I guess. That's a messed up way to say that. She almost becomes like, I guess, a surrogate mother for these creepy fucks. But then she escapes and she ends up stabbing one of the guys like over and over and over again. And he supposedly dies, but he doesn't die because he comes back to life. Uh, I would have cut off his head, but whatever, I guess. To each their own. So she stabs him over and over again, and then she runs away. And then she finds a cop in the middle of the woods. Luckily, I guess. And then the cop gets killed by the other brother, and then she drives over him over and over again. And then she leaves, and of course, he's also not dead because she didn't cut off his head because he had a big axe. She could have got out of the car, grabbed the axe, and cut off his head, but nah, she's gonna leave because it's a slasher film, so obviously the bad guys have to wake up at the end. But yeah, that's basically the whole thing. It's just like they're there, friends get killed, or not really friends because they only know each other for like 2 days. So people get killed, and then they try to escape. They can't escape, but the girl escapes. The guy, everybody else dies. Except for the old man. The old man lives. But, okay, so that's like the plot. We also get the background of the bad guys. The bad guys are basically this woman had 2 sons. They brought in this asteroid that fell out of the sky. And this asteroid had black alien jizz in it that infected them. It had black alien jizz in it that infected them and turned them into creatures. And their mother locked them in the cellar because they ate their dog and they turned into monsters, I guess. So she locks them in the cellar and she's just like, oh, I gotta feed them and stuff. So she starts feeding them random creatures and stuff that she hunts in the woods. And it's kind of stupid. So the biggest problem I have with this are like the kind of stupid plot holes, I guess. So the first one, let's talk about the first one, is the whole backstory of the evil people. So they are basically, they turn evil from this rock in space, and their mother locks them in the cellar, and instead of like, I don't know, going for help or calling a doctor or something, she's like, no, I'm going to lock them in the cellar, feed them, and just kind of go crazy over this because I don't want anybody to know I have these crazy kids, I guess. I don't know why, but okay. That's kind of stupid. I don't know if personally, if my children or child turned into something like that, I'd try to call for help and I'd be like, hey, something's wrong with my kid. Can you come and look at him? I mean, it's better than locking them in the cellar for the rest of their life if you have to put them in an institution, I guess. I don't know. But whatever, I guess. So she doesn't think about that, and then they're locked in the cellar. And that's about it for that. That's the stupidest part to me. It's just like, why didn't she get him help? But okay, whatever. Again, another one would have to be like the backstory of the old man. Somehow he knows all this. I kind of assume that he might be the father of these kids. That's why he lost his leg. I kind of assume that, but I don't know for sure. Because supposedly he knew all this somehow. Maybe the old lady told him. And somehow he lost his legs to these people. Don't know how he lost his legs, but he did. He lost his legs. So that's dumb. So that's like, doesn't make sense. It's kind of dumb. And then another part I don't really understand, or it doesn't really make sense, I should say, not that I don't understand it, is that basically at the end, this guy picks up this girl and he kind of sniffs her and she's like, ooh, and he ties her up, and you're left to assume like, uh-oh, she's going to become like a baby maker for them because that's fucked up. But that's basically what you're left to assume, is that they are going to take turns doing what they do with her, right? But it doesn't make sense because the camp counselor was also a girl, and there was also a blonde girl, but both of them got murdered, and this one chick just got saved, I guess. I don't know why they would do that, but okay. Like, why are they selecting, like, certain things? Like, they killed the camp counselor. They're like, okay, she's dead. For some reason, we didn't want her. They killed a younger blonde girl, and they're like, okay, now she's dead. Then they're like, this girl in particular, for some reason, we're keeping her. Why? I don't know. But I don't know why. It's just weird. It's weird logic to think that way, but whatever. You would assume that all the girls would be caught like that, but no, like kill the first two off, keep the last one. You would think they would at least keep the two youngest girls, but don't know. Whatever, I guess that doesn't make sense. But she escapes and she kills them and then she leaves. Um, Another thing that didn't make sense to me, and this one's kind of stupid, right? So basically, the gamer guy, he dies trying to save the girl by stabbing the guy and then obviously getting killed in return, which is kind of stupid because he could have done it like he could have like tried to slit his throat or something, or kicked him or something like that. And then as soon as the guy turns around, you're supposed to fucking run. Like run the fuck away. Make sure the guy has attention on you. Run away. Hopefully the girl can wake up eventually and get the fuck out of there, but run the fuck away. you know? But he doesn't. He stabs him and he's like, oh, I left a knife in you and I'm screwed. Personally, if that was me, I would have stabbed him in the neck. I would have stabbed him in the head. I would have stabbed him multiple times. Never let go of the knife. And as soon as that motherfucker turns around, I'm running. And hopefully he's following me so the girl can get out. But I'm running. And then he's dying because he gets his tongue ripped out by a really nasty kiss. And the girl's kind of like over him, kind of like crying, going like, oh, it's okay, like you're okay. And that part doesn't really make sense to me because they've known each other for all of like 2 days. And she's just like, oh, you're like she's crying over him like he's her best friend. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. But maybe you could say like, well, that's what happens when you're in a life or death situation. You cry over the person that helped you, I guess. I don't know. But it's kind of weird that she was doing that, to be honest, because that's like, I've known you for 2 days. Like, I feel bad for the person, but I wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, you're dying. I'd be like, oh shit, dude, are you okay? Sort of thing. I wouldn't be like, but it was kind of, I don't know, it's just not, I don't think it's a natural response that you would give to someone that you would only know for like 2 days. Unless you were someone that's very like emotional, I guess. Like, try to help the person, try to calm them down, try to ease their pain when they die. But, like, I don't know if, like, you'd be bawling over it. But whatever, I guess. maybe you would. I don't know. I've never been in a situation like that, so maybe you would. But yeah, so girl runs away, kills one of the guys. She sinks back to life again, obviously. But yeah, like, the whole thing. There are some things that just don't make sense, and I do like it, but there are some things that just are too stupid to be like, really? Just too stupid. Let's see, what else? What else is there? One of the things that I disliked was that when they went to the old man's house, they had the option of staying with him or going to the nearest town, and instead they're like, let's go back to the house with the murderers. Personally, I'm just saying, he said it's like a 2-day walk that way or something like that. Personally, I would have walked 2 days, just no sleep, just keep on walking, because these things, they might be following us, but as long as we just keep on walking and get to that town, that's safety. It's not super safety because they can obviously go to the town and start killing people. But guess what? They have more people to go through before they get to me. Not trying to be mean. I'm just saying. And plus we have more weapons and stuff like that. But, I'm just saying. That's probably what I would have done. Or I would have stayed with the old man because the old man obviously saved people. He would have saved us. And also another thing that didn't make sense was the gay guy. He went to the old man's house and instead of like knocking or something like that, I guess he was trying to keep quiet. He just opens the door and then he gets murdered by the old man, which is a stupid thing to do. I would have tried to knock him and be like, hey, is there anybody in there? I'm here. I need help, sort of thing. Like, try to, like, stay quiet, but try to, like convey that, like, hey, I'm a human being. I need some help. Is there anybody there? And then try to get in there, But that's another story, I guess. I guess he thought I was abandoned or something like that. But yeah, all in all, good show. Kind of stupid, some parts, definitely. But it was a good show. It was a good show. It did remind me of a few other shows. I mean, movie. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hit that bell notification. Best way to keep on my channel. Best way to keep my content. Link down below to my Twitter. And as always, my friends, stay sane. Peace. Shadow, my baby, I love you so much. You're my baby. And you love to sleep in the bathtub. 'Cause you're a weirdo. Shadow, look over here, buddy. Look over here.